Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We are a full service CX and UX consultancy. We do projects, training, and consulting. Check us out. Still didn't update the website. Someday I will. And welcome to a special requested micro lesson. We got some requests from this in our Slack channel. If you'd like to join our Slack or Discord, we've got both of them, and they're free, so you might as well come on by and join the community. You can find them at deltacx.com/links, so we'll see you there. And some people asked if I could please do a show about how I personally manage my own time, because it sounds like people have a perception of me of like, how does Debbie really get anything done? Debbie seems to do so much stuff. Where does she have time for this? What does her time management look like? Things like that. So I'm going to be talking quite personally in this hour about my personal approaches to time management. These things may or may not work for you. I am happy to take your questions. Hi, Nadu and Manuel. So please ask any questions. Personal questions are acceptable. This is a personal topic. But of course, as always, let's take a moment to thank the people who keep me in chocolate chips and streaming software, our low ego action heroes who pressed the now easier to find join button on YouTube. But holy cats, that new YouTube interface, y'all, I just got it. We need to do a think out loud show about it. It is scary. It might be next Monday's show. So, but thanks to everybody who's supporting the show financially. Totally optional, but always appreciated. So I made a few notes, and I want to start out before I share my screen or talk about some of the tools and techniques that I use. First, let's talk quite honestly and bluntly about what my life looks like, because part of the reason I have so much time is because I don't have things in my life that often take time from people, for better or for worse. So I made a little list of things I wanted to make sure I mentioned to you today. So let's go through this. First of all, let's please remember that I have no children. This is on purpose. I do think that when you have children, they can take time out of your life and they can make it a little harder to balance some of the things that you're trying to do. Children need care. Children are unpredictable. Children need help. Children need parents. This is something that many of you who have children or plan to have children are probably aware of. I'm blissfully unaware. I've never had children, so I don't know what I'm missing, but I'm absolutely fine with whatever it is. So please note that that's a life decision that I made for a mountain of reasons, but one of the 8,000 fantastic byproducts of not having children is I've got a lot of time, and that time is devoted to me and my work and my business and my YouTube and that guy over there, the amazing Pier Mario, who joked before the show that he doesn't have time to watch a show about time management. So, wait, I need that. There we go. My life gets to be about a very small circle of humans. Two of us. Two humans. Sometimes Pier Mario's mom is someone we're focused on. And then, of course, people know I've got 5 dogs. Let's put them on the screen. Sometimes I have something to do with these guys. They're awesome. But they're also kind of independent. So let's start there. I have an advantage a lot of people don't. I also have no parents. So many people, especially as we get older, have to care for their parents. They're involved with their parents. They might even like their parents. So Ty says, I have zero interest in having kids. I'm happy with my decision. Yeah, and again, that's going to be individual. Some people want kids, some people don't want kids, and some people have them and some people don't. There's a bunch of different outcomes there, and you know, everything's different for each person. I'm certainly not telling anybody here what to do. I can only say that my decision was deliberate and I'm happy with it. Hey, Bram. So let's cross that off the list. That I've mentioned no parents or kids, and that also means I've purposefully designed a life that has very little stress. My stress is like Jared Spool, and that comes and goes. That's not a constant stressful thing. I've got decent health. That's another thing. Certainly anybody who feels that they struggle with their health or genuinely struggles with their health. I didn't mean to make it sound like you don't genuinely struggle with health. Anybody who does genuinely struggle with health is not going to feel like they have the time and energy for things. So these are things to first note about things that are true about my life at this time, but of course can change at any moment. Hi, Noor. At any moment I could become ill. In February, when I got my third shot, I was a mess for a month. I felt like I could barely get stuff done. There you go. Larry says, I know people without kids, but have Facebook. Kids suck less time away from you. Yeah, very true. I dumped Facebook. That's a great point. I dumped Facebook 6 years ago, 5 years ago now. Marjolaine, hi Debbie, so helpful to hear. Yeah, sure. Again, ask me anything. This is not office hours, ask me anything, but ask me anything about my time management. I'll talk about that. Yes, I also don't use Facebook. I don't use Twitter. I don't use Snapchat. I don't use TikTok. I have some Instagram accounts where I like to share my photos and look at other people's. I do not browse aimlessly around Instagram. I only look at the people I'm connected to, and then I close it. I also have my phone set to shut Instagram on me if I'm in there more than 40 minutes, so in an entire day. So that also keeps me on track. I do watch a lot of YouTube, mostly from bed at night, which leads me to talk about I sleep. Let's cross that off the list. We had who remembers the hashtag from last year, Deb sleeps and so should you. A lot of people think that I get things done by not sleeping, and that is very far from the truth. Very often after this show ends, my calendar, those of you who book time with me know that I book you into the evening here because it's 6:30 at night here in Italy. I tend to have meetings until sometimes 9 at night. But then I try to shut off. Unless something is on fire, computer goes off, I roll into bed 9 something, and I watch stupid or interesting videos, but low drama stuff. So that's another thing to know about me, low drama. I don't like to watch TV or movies that I find upsetting or disturbing. I don't like to watch anything that shows people or animals in any sort of imagined or real distress. This means I watch almost no TV and movies because pretty much everything has drama and conflict with people and children and animals hurting. I've got no tolerance for that, and I don't find it entertaining. So again, I've designed an extremely low stress life where even my entertainment is low stress. The YouTubers I follow are musicians, they are cooks, they are historians, but I'm not watching anything about painful history. I turn that stuff off. Comedy, I watch a lot of comedy. So again, purposefully designed low stress life. I should also mention, again, on an extremely personal note, that I don't do any drugs. Hi, Aitan. This is the Low Drama Show. I don't do any drugs, which means I'm never missing a block of time from my life. I rarely drink. I think I have 5 drinks a year, and it takes me about a year to go through a bottle of cooking wine. So I don't miss time from what we could loosely call partying. So I don't have time missing from my life because I am drinking or doing drugs. I also don't smoke. I don't smoke pot. So I don't do any of that stuff. If you do, you're welcome to it. Yeah, go Aitan, go. Yes, Aitan's drinking all the red wine for me. I'm actually allergic to red wine, so if I have wine, it's going to be a little bit of white. But again, once a year. So not worth it. I drink a little bit of white. I drink wine medicinally. If I'm on a long flight, I'll ask for a white wine. Knocks me out. So I am also allergic to caffeine, which means I am not in a weird wake up in the morning, over caffeinate, and then need something at night to help me slow down. So I'm not in any kind of legal or illegal drug cycle, which also helps me feel like I have a lot of time in my life. That being said, I don't have much of a social life. So time that people spend with friends and going out, which I think is something people should do, is something I'm not doing. And so so that gives me extra time that other people don't have. Pros and cons there. I'm not a very social person. I'm more introverted, and I certainly miss out on going out and events. How can you get up early and work without coffee? Serious question. I never had. Sorry. Hopefully, someone's going to be okay. It's for Aitan. Yeah, thanks. Not literally for Aitan. It's just the local drama for Aitan as she likes it. I never was dependent on coffee, so I never had to stop being dependent on coffee, which means I have no frame of reference for this. So I have no idea what it's like to need coffee or want coffee. I enjoy coffee, but it's all decaf. I've been decaf my entire life. My biological father had the same allergy, so we had a house with no caffeine in it. The coffee was all decaf. Everything was decaf. So yeah. Let's take a look at what else is on my list of things to talk about my own life. I'm not afraid to say no to stuff that I don't want taking up my time. Even Pier Mario knows. And it makes me a crappy girlfriend and future wife sometimes, but he'll be like, hey, my friend's playing a little show in a neighboring village. Why don't we go? And I often decide that there's something else I'd rather spend my time on than his friend's musical show. I should probably be a better wife and go to some of these things that would help the social aspect that I'm missing and support my boyfriend's friends a little bit more, and I don't do it. I never really did it, so I'm bad at this. But I do often tend to prioritize a lot of things based on what I'm working on and what I need. And so if so-and-so is playing a show at the neighboring village, I might not go. I know, I'm a terrible partner, right? Larry says, you don't drink enough, which explains why you have no kids. Those go together? I'm so sorry. Okay, I always hope that people have children more deliberately, but okay, thanks. So let's cross that off. So I've mentioned I'm not afraid to say no, and if something comes in where I feel I need more time, I'm not afraid to say I need more time. Like, I thought my book was going to be done August 15th. Who remembers that? And my book is just kind of almost done now. So I said, look, I have a self-imposed deadline, but no, I can't make my own deadline. And I just keep moving my deadline because I can. And obviously, when you can't move a deadline, you have to stick to it. But where you can move a deadline and things are flexible, be good to yourself. Don't wear yourself out. If it doesn't have to be done that day, it doesn't have to be done that day. If it does have to be done that day, you should do it. But when I show you my calendar later, I'll show you how I mark movable things. And that helps me say, oh, I need to buy back some time on this day. What can I move? Aha, it's a special color. Now I know what I can move. So we will get there. Okay, here's something I wrote down. I'm very much a morning person. I used to be a night owl, and that changed somewhere. I don't know where, but now I'm very much, and have been for many years, a morning person. So that means I have my best energy in the morning, and that makes sense if you think about how I'm going to sleep early, waking up early, and I'm not in a caffeine cycle. So basically, I wake up with whatever energy I have, and as the day goes on, my energy just gets lower and lower, which is why you see me yawning in my own shows. So that means that when I am planning work and other things for myself, I always put the more thought-intensive stuff earlier in the morning. I need to do that stuff 8 a.m., 9 a.m. I need to do that early. Anything that is less thought intensive for me, I could joke like this show, but which is thought intensive, but anything that's more thought intensive, I try to do earlier in the day. And anything I know doesn't need a lot of thought from me, I will push to when I know my energy tends to drop badly, which is after 3 p.m. For whatever reason, I go off a cliff at 3 p.m. and my energy just falls apart. That might be when a lot of people go out for their coffee, and I can't. So I just have to drag until I drag my ass into bed. So remember, a key also is to be aware of when you have your best energy. For some people, it's midnight and 1 a.m. And for some people, it's 7 a.m., noon, whatever it is. Get to know your own schedule. Notice when you are sharpest and focus your time on that. And that's why sometimes when some of y'all send me stuff and it's 8, 9 p.m. my time, I tell you, I'll look at this tomorrow when I'm sharper. Because it's, I could do it. I am awake. I'm at my desk, but I know I'm not going to think as clearly as the next day. So there's that. I also want to mention that pretty much everything in my life gets put in my calendar, and I'm going to show you that later in the show. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. So even though I have a pretty good memory, that doesn't mean I remember everything. I put everything in my calendar, including some things you'll be surprised to see, because if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. Remember, as we go, if you have any questions, let me know. You're welcome to throw in the comedy, but if you have serious questions too, you can ask them. So you'll also see, I'll be showing you some of the apps that I use to keep lists of things. And these are, of course, not sponsored. Nobody's paying me to tell you about these apps that I use. I might use different ones next year, but these are the apps that I use to keep myself organized and stuff on track. You can use anything. You can use a Google Sheet. You can use a Google Doc. It doesn't have to Google Keep. It doesn't have to be the apps I'm using, which all happen to be paid. You don't have to use those, but you do probably want to get into some sort of system that helps you stay organized. And I've also written down to remind everybody, first of all, I also keep lists, and I scratch things off in highlighter when I've done them. So anything not in pink highlighter or whatever highlighter color I'm working on at the time means I haven't done it. And so these things stare at me like so many spooky skeletons until I do them. So the last thing to talk about on this particular list, which I can cross off, squeak, is time estimation. Now, we did a show on how I do planning and I do work time estimation, but I think I'm uncannily good at estimating time. Right, honey? He said I would say so. How about today when your mom had that doctor's appointment and you said, oh, she'll be back within 20, 30 minutes. And I said, no, he's going to keep her waiting an hour and then see her slowly. And you said, no, she has an appointment. How long did she wait? A few hours. And how long did it take for her appointment? I don't know. You don't know. So, being able to estimate time accurately is important. Before I say more about that, let's take a look at what's popping up in the chat. I realize the more I have to do, the more organized I am. Can you relate to that? If I have free time, I keep pushing tasks. I do 500 activities. Yeah, I'm not sure I ever really have free time. I always fill it with something. I just go back to one of my lists and say, okay, what's something on a do this someday when I have time list? So yeah, sometimes if it's crunch time and you've got more to do, some people get more organized and analytical. Some people get more frustrated or emotional. So everybody's different. Malika says, any tips on changing from a night owl to a morning bird? I'll tell you how that happened now that I think about it. So I had lifelong insomnia. My biological parents said that as a baby, it was like I slept 1 hour a day. That sounds bad, but I wouldn't know. So I was always a very bad sleeper. It took me forever to fall asleep. It took me, I didn't stay asleep well. I woke up at the same time every night with my brain just thinking and thinking and thinking, and I couldn't sleep. I even went to a sleep disorders clinic at the hospital where I was working many years ago, decades ago, and they said, it's all in your mind. Go get some therapy. And I love therapy, but it didn't help me sleep. So I'll tell you what ended up happening. I started trying different things for sleeping. And so to fast forward to where I am now with sleeping, I started many years ago, 2004, I started wearing a blindfold to sleep. And I found that helped because then I did not have any visual light or stimuli. That really helped. Now I get from Amazon those sleep masks that have little speakers in them so that I can hear some stuff, because I also find that I once counted and I found that my brain can do 3 things at the same time. Have you ever tried melatonin? Yes, it made me feel weird. Remember, I'm the no drinking, no drugs person. So even like simple, light, non-drug drugs sometimes hit me really hard. Like I can't take cold medicine. I once took cold medicine that's supposed to knock you out and make you sleep through your cold or flu, and it sped me up and I had heart palpitations. So I try to stay away from anything that is drug-ish unless I'm really desperate. So Malika, what really worked for me was fixing my insomnia and being able to fall asleep in a reasonable amount of time and stay asleep. And for me, that started out with sound and the mask. And I started playing sound out in my room. I would put on like a new age music CD like you would hear if you were in a spa or getting a massage, just, you know, little notes and flutes and very calming things. But I found that even listening to that, my brain was still going. I was still trying to solve all the world's problems. So about 8 or so years ago, I started playing that while I was sleeping, and I would leave the TV on, running a whole bunch of How It's Made episodes. Hands up if you, emojis up if you know How It's Made. I DVR'd a whole bunch of How It's Made episodes, and I would just run How It's Made and be running spa music. And that way my brain had two things to focus on, and I found I was less likely to try to solve the world's problems. My brain was still going. So I eventually found some other stuff that I could listen to that helped my brain stop whirling. And then I could fall asleep and stay asleep fairly reliably. I do suffer sometimes from bad nightmares. 50 years of it now, so it is what it is. Malika says, yeah, that's me. Jamie says, How It's Made is the ultimate safe space TV. Yeah, low drama. No one got hurt, though I can't watch the one on Caviar. There's a couple of them I cannot see, but other than that, good stuff. Baby Chicks, cannot watch that one. So stay away from the Caviar and the Baby Chicks, How It's Made, but other than that, How It's Made. Narrated by Brooks Moore. Do not watch the other ones. Only watch the Canadian ones narrated by Brooks Moore. Joe says, you may get to it, but how you schedule your day, take breaks, and recharge. Yeah, I will get to that. Sorry, Joe. It is an hour show, and there's a lot that goes into how I do make time work for me. And first, I have to just, talk about the things that are just naturally me that, people may or may not be able to achieve, even if they try some of my organization or breaks or whatever. So, just a heads up, you're not me. So, and that's okay. You might be better for it. Getting better at time estimation. Even if you have that 12:30 doctor appointment, you might be in the waiting room a longer than you think. You might, the appointment might take longer than you think. The drive home might take longer than you think. You have to be able to predict these things and understand your time a little bit better. We dropped by the emergency room here a few weeks ago, and I said, oh man, forget it. This is going to be an all-day thing. I'm just going to block out the whole day. I'm going to cancel my YouTube stream for the night. And it really ended up being that way. I think we left the house at 9:30 in the morning, and we came back at like 5 or 4. Do you remember what time we came back?
Yeah, we came back around probably even after 5.
Yeah, we came back 4 or 5, and it's like, yeah, that was the whole freaking day. So yeah, definitely eyes thing. I should have brought it from the bedroom, but again, I have the sleep mask. You can get them on Amazon. They're maybe 20 pounds, $30, and they've got little Bluetooth speakers in here. But just make sure you practice setting your phone so that no sounds go off in the middle of the night. You do not want Facebook going ding ding. You do not want a call or a text message or a WhatsApp going in. You have to figure out how to set up your phone so that it will play music but not play other sounds, which definitely takes some practice. All right, that being said, let's talk a little bit about some other things that I do. And for that, I'm going to share my screen and probably embarrass myself. So please excuse me, but it's my job to embarrass myself so you all can benefit. Okay, here we go. Sharing the screen. Good. Here's me, the optional tip jar, the chat room, the screen. Here we go. So what you're looking at is my email. And you are seeing this correctly. I have 7 messages in my inbox. I do not have 2,000, 10,000, 600. I have 7 messages in my inbox. One just came from Oz, responding to my comment on LinkedIn. I asked him what webcam he's using. I assume he told me, yeah, that's what it is. Same one I have. Okay, so cool. So anything that's in my inbox is something I haven't taken care of. If I've put it on my calendar, even with a future date to remind myself to do it, I take it out of my inbox. I delete it, I file it in saved mail. If it's here, it's something I haven't taken care of yet. So for example, I need to email everybody who came to Concentric and remind them that the recordings are available. So this email from Airmeet is here to remind me to do that. Dovetail, the apprentices are working on a research project. The Dovetail reminds me to pay the people, pay the incentives to the people they are meeting. This is Amazon Kindle answering a question I had about why my book looks so crappy in Kindle. I'm going to have to work on that when I get back to the Kindle version. This sits in my inbox to remind me that it's something I haven't dealt with. Every single other thing I have dealt with, and I move it out of the way. It's going to be really hard for you to get things done or for you to know what isn't done if your inbox has a squillion things. So I would say also consider getting in the habit of moving. What software is this? It looks so organized. This is Postbox. It is an offshoot of Mozilla Thunderbird. And basically what you can see up here is all accounts. What I love about it is it has a unified inbox. So I'm picking up 5 different email accounts, and this is all 5 email accounts in one box, and I have them color coded. So orange is Delta CX, purple is stuff that still comes into P-type, blue would be a personal email, but I don't have any of those in here right now. And so that also gives me a clue as to what type of email it is, and I can also figure out if that means it's important or not. You know, business before personal usually. So also I'm on Windows. I don't know if there's Postbox for Mac, but this is Postbox, hashtag not sponsored. So again, I clearly know what I need to work on and what I don't because my inbox says, hey, don't forget to do these things. And this would be harder if I had inbox 50, 100, whatever. So it's very rare. I can't remember the last time that I had to scroll this screen because I always keep my inbox under control. I file things away as soon as I deal with them, or I delete them if I don't need to find them possibly ever again. But again, since I'm on IMAP servers, if I need to search deleted mail, it's still there. So inbox, cleaning up your inbox hygiene can definitely help you with some time management because it reminds you of what your priorities are, what you haven't addressed, who you didn't write back to. Once you've written back to them and the ball's in their court, get rid of that email. File it in a saved folder or erase it. You don't need it. You don't need it in front of you. All right, let's take a look at some of my other stuff. So some of you have seen, especially on critical thinking streams, I use Todoist. Hashtag not sponsored, I pay them. So this is some stuff that I need to work on for the book. Need to clean up my Miro boards. This is where I keep the critical thinking streams that everybody has sent in. And these are camper checklists. What are some things we need to do when we're in the camper and we're about to go out for the day? And I have a whole bunch of things that we have to check that we've done because we messed it up a few times, and now we say, okay, let's follow the checklist. I also have, for example, this is my to-dos for launching the new book. And I want to make sure I do a Goodreads giveaway. I want to make sure I run some Amazon ads. I want to make sure I get it on Product Hunt. Wilson says, hey, when are you releasing the book? Hopefully December 2, and I hope that but this week it will be up for Kindle pre-order. So you can be sure I will be announcing that loudly. Is this Postbox as well? No, this is Todoist. Notice I'm in a browser now. This is Todoist. Todoist has a website and a matching app, so I can also control all of my lists and add things or mark things off from my phone or from the web. And Pier Mario says Postbox is available for Mac. So this helps me keep things cooking. You can see I've also crossed some stuff off because I'm secretly working on merch behind the scenes. So I've worked on some Low Ego Action Hero merch. I've worked on some Let's Not Congratulate Ourselves merch. And I still have other ones to work on. But I am working on a new merch site. So expect me to be plugging that in a week or so. And here I can give myself some deadlines and stuff, but I missed today's deadlines because I thought my book would be ready for Kindle today and it's not, so I'm going to miss the deadlines that say today. So I use Todoist for lists. I use it for shopping lists. I use it for packing lists for work. I cross things off when they're done. What I like about these things is that you can also tell it to show completed tasks. So if you cross something off and you want it back or you want to see what it was, you can easily get to it. They've got lots of ways to sort and view things. So these are sorted by priority, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can tag things. It's a very flexible system for how you like to do stuff. You can share lists. So our shopping list here, which I won't show you, is shared with Pier Mario. So he can add things, I can add things, he can cross things off, I can cross things off. It's all synchronized. So it's a great way. Jamie says Todoist is awesome. Yeah, I do like it. So you can see I've got lots of stuff in here, some of it work and some of it personal. So that is one way that I keep organized, and also by giving things priorities, or you could use labels. I can also see what's really important and what's less important, and give things deadlines if I want to, stuff like that. I also want to show you how I do some of this in Monday.com. Again, not sponsored, but many of you know I love Monday. And some of you know I'm planning a wedding or two, right, honey? And so, and you're going to be there. Yeah, don't forget to show up. And some of you are going to be there. Don't forget to come to my wedding. My gosh. So this is what I've got cooking in Monday. And basically, I've got a whole bunch of tasks that I have to do. I have the status that they're in. I have what they're costing me. Yes, I apologize for some of these numbers. They're upsetting. But if you want to be organized, it's important to take a look at sometimes at what things cost. It could be what things cost. It could be time they're taking. Yeah, it's not cheap to throw a wedding, y'all. Newsflash. So also notice, and I like the way Monday does this, is they let you map dependencies. So, you know, I can't do something until I do something else because one is dependent on the other. So for a great example here is Pier Mario and his mom have to get visitors visas to come to America because we're having a wedding in Tucson in January. They can't get their visitors visas yet because mama doesn't have her passport renewed. That is a dependency. That is a blocker. So I've got a reminder here that we are blocked by mama's passport, and once mama's passport gets settled, it should be in the in progress list. Yeah, mama's, oh, contacted. No, it's in progress. Okay, sorry. That's looking good. Resort the other way. So yeah, once mama's passport is done, then I can, then I'm not going to do anything. Pier Mario and his mom will work on getting visitors visas. I can cross that off the list. And again, here you can see I've got other things just helping me keep track of what my wedding is costing, taking a look at some of the things I have to do. I have to go down to the courthouse and get a copy of my divorce papers. Hey, that's just natural, you know, when you're getting divorced. When you're getting married, you have to prove you got properly divorced if you've been married before. So, been there, done that. No, I didn't start writing my vows, but I will. Once I'm not writing a book, I'll write my vows. But they're not really vows. I don't promise much. There will be pizza there. So, come to Tucson, eat some pizza, rent some tables with me. So these are some of the types of things that I do. Now, someone say, oh, that's overkill, Deb. Why don't you just make a list on a piece of paper? Well, because paper gets lost. It's hard to prioritize. I grew up on technology. I started on computers in 1979. So to me, using tech to assist myself and to keep myself organized is just a great natural match for my habits, because I just grew up on tech. Thank you, Udipta, for saying I get a 10 out of 10 for organization skills with a Z. So, yeah, I am organizing the hell out of my wedding because, let's face it, you don't want to get this wrong. I don't want to later on go, oh, you know what? I probably needed my birth certificate. Damn. Oops. Pier Mario says pizza. So it's all on here. Does that mean you have to do this? No. But does it mean that I'm going to not forget things and I'm going to be able to look back at this? Okay. What did I not even start yet? Okay. Well, we didn't do. Oh, you know what? We decided not to do this driving, so I can drop down the cost of my gas. Cool. We took the road trip part out of the thing. So yeah, what could I work on? Travel insurance. Where you're gonna see, I put travel insurance on my calendar to remind me, honey, you're supposed to contact the notary. Did you start that?
What's not on my calendar?
It's not on your calendar.
I should put it on.
I love you.
Thank you.
Can you put it on your list, please?
Yes.
So, contacting the notary is not my job. It's Pier Mario's job. I could have put a column here of whose problem it is, but I'm making everything my problem here. So, Pier Mario must contact the notary. Then I can turn this to in progress, which it does not yet deserve. All right. Any other questions as I am going? Jamie R. Honestly, it's amazing how even an obvious to-do list or plan can reduce the background stress of cognitive load. It's subtly stressful to have to try to mentally judge. Totally, Jamie. And that's why I do sleep with my phone next to me. Now, again, I have it set at night so that none of the sounds go off. I'm using focus mode for those of you who have Android. And I think Apple has an equivalent, where basically, even if someone sends me a message, I don't see the notification. I don't see that I have a LinkedIn message. I don't see that y'all are posting to Slack. It's pretty much me and sleepy sounds and YouTube videos. Once I get into bed, that's it. That's why very often a lot of you get messages from me that say, I'm in bed. I'll look at this tomorrow. I am in bed. I'll look at it tomorrow. But I also have app versions of Todoist and Monday. So if I'm laying around doing my videos and watching silly things at night and people cooking stuff, and I go, oh no, wait a minute, I can just jump in, put that in, and that gives me permission to stop thinking about it. It took me months, if not years, to give myself permission to stop thinking about things when it's sleeping time. But I found that having the phone there, sometimes I wake up at 2 a.m, I open up Todoist, and I say, don't forget to write this into the book, and then I go back to sleep. But I found that when I didn't make that available to myself, I just laid awake and thought about it. Like, uh-oh, I don't want to forget this. You will forget it. Make sure you write it down. Have a pen next to the bed with paper. Put it in your phone, but then give yourself permission to go to sleep. I wrote it down. I'll handle it tomorrow. It's time for sleeping. All right, let's talk about my calendar, especially because Joe asked, do you take intentional breaks? Do you recharge? How do you schedule your day? Okay, so many people know that I usually set an alarm, or you'll know now. I guess you didn't know that. I always say I wake up early, not as early as Larry, but I usually get up 7. I set an alarm for 7 or 7:30, but admittedly, most days I'm awake before that. I find I tend to naturally wake up 6:30 on many days, sometimes earlier. And I am bad at falling back asleep, so I'm up and that's that. I usually lay around in bed for about an hour. I check some emails. I see what's cooking in Slack. I see what's cooking on LinkedIn. I check Instagram, even though I get 40 minutes per day. 35, I think. I check Instagram to see who posted a picture of a dog and how my friends are doing. and check for other messages and just enjoy waking up slowly and seeing what's happening in my world and checking if I need to rethink anything that's happening for the day. Because let's face it, sometimes I wake up to something and I go, oh, I have an appointment I didn't know about, or oh, someone changed an appointment, or uh-oh, this person's in trouble, or uh-oh, this person's sick, they have to cancel the YouTube show. So sometimes I learn 6, 7 in the morning, my day is not quite what I thought. So I get on that. Now, my life and business coach, who we had on the show, like episode 70 something, she used to tell me, don't wake up and go right to your phone. Wake up and meditate and be intentional about your day. And I just found that didn't work for me. I can't slow my brain down. I wake up and I want to solve everything. So I'm sorry. I'm not that. So let's take a look at my calendar. I apologize. Some of you will see your names on here. I hope you don't mind. So, of course, I have reminders going off for everything. So here's my reminder to do my own damn show. That, of course, that also goes off on my phone with a sound that I've customized. So I always know when a special song goes off, that is a calendar reminder sound and not just a general phone notification. Pier Mario can tell you I have about 50 different sounds going off on my phone, and each one means a different thing. If you have a good memory, that can work for you. If you don't have as good a memory, or you feel overwhelmed by a lot of different sounds, then that doesn't work for you. So let's start with color. So color messages different things to me, and you can certainly use color, especially if you have a digital calendar, even a paper calendar with highlighters, but certainly a Google Calendar is my preferred axe of choice. I use dark green for shows, light green for other work stuff. I use this slightly off green for, this off green is the Delta CX calendar. I think some of you know that you can subscribe to the Delta CX calendar. I've got it here. So when I unchecked it, that's what went away. If you add the Delta CX events Google Calendar to your calendar, it might show up in a different color, but that's how mine shows up. So that just helps me see, did I remember, I blocked out the time for myself, and did I also put it in the Delta CX calendar that all of you see? So that's some of these dark greens and off greens and things like that. Anything that is charcoal gray is a recurring thing, a reminder, movable, or optional. Like Abby Covert is having her online party on Friday. I RSVP'd yes. If something catches on fire, I'm going to not go to that because to me it's optional. But there are other things on this calendar that are not optional. Almost everything else is not optional. But again, I have a sense of what I can move. In fact, these should be gray because they are, don't forget to get travel insurance for my upcoming trip, and don't forget to get venue insurance for the wedding. The wedding requires insurance, but I don't have to do those on Sunday. I could move those if I needed to. I could not do them. I could reschedule them. That would be okay. They are movable. So I have a sense of what's movable or what's just a reminder. So for example, this 11 a.m. tomorrow is a reminder to pay my MasterCard. I have a Barclays MasterCard, hashtag not sponsored. I've already paid it. So sometimes what I do, if I've already paid it, I just take it out of my calendar so that I don't even see it tomorrow. It doesn't, it's not technically blocking the time. If you take a look at it in Google Calendar, it says free. So somebody could schedule that time. It wasn't blocking my time, but I will have a reminder go off tomorrow. And also notice what that says. Every month on the third day of the month, I'm reminded to pay my MasterCard. Now, why would I do that? Won't I get my bill? Let's talk about the time the local postman quit and we didn't get mail for, was it 6 weeks? Yeah. I missed a few credit card payments because I just wasn't thinking of it. Out of sight, out of mind. The bills didn't come. I got a couple of late fees. That was not cool. So now I've got reminders in my calendar. Go into my Barclays app, check if I haven't paid this month's bill, pay it. And I do that every month. So I always recommend doing things like that. I also recommend if you sign up for a free trial for something where they're going to charge you in X days, I always put something in my calendar for during that free trial. Don't forget to cancel thing. Now, if I end up liking it and I want to pay for it, that's fine. I'll take it out of my calendar. Otherwise, I'll be really happy that I reminded myself to cancel the thing. So I can cancel this one. I did pay this bill. I double checked today. Paid. This is another recurring one that I have. Once in a while, I check that my trademarks are in good standing. That's green. It's optional. You know, I could move. I'm sorry. It's not the green one. It's the gray one. I could move that. I could not do it. It's a recurring one. So I remind myself every 4 months. Check that my trademarks are in good standing. That's just something I want to remember to do, but it is gray. I could move it around. These yellow blocks. So yellow for me is usually projects that may or may not be directly related to work. Sometimes when I am doing UX research interviews or sessions, I put them in yellow so they really stand out in my calendar. Anything related to my book, I usually put in yellow because the book is a project. Could it be green? I guess so, but really jumps out at me. And these are reminders to go into my booth and record the audiobook for my book. And then you'll see next week don't forget to edit the audiobook. Now, these are marked as free. Somebody could book my time here if they needed to, because I want to make sure that I'm available to other people. And if they need me, I will just reschedule recording the audiobook. But if I wanted to, I could hard block these and say, no, I am putting aside time, 12 to 3 tomorrow to do this. And if you wanted to talk to me, meet with me, chat with me, you can't. So remember, that's an important tip for you. If something is movable, be flexible. If something is not movable, is important, has a deadline, block your calendar out. Oh no, you're on it. Thank you. Thanks, honey. Yep. Let's also take it off the screen. Oh, it is off the screen. Yeah, sorry. Somebody, can you believe the porn spam is so foolish? Who actually falls for that? How many people look at that and go, yeah, you know what I need right now? I just haven't found enough porn. If you like porn, it's everywhere. Really. So thank you, honey. I hope you permanently blocked them, hid them from the channel. I'm amazed YouTube lets it through. I even put that in my book. How can YouTube let that through? They've got to see what this is. Exactly. This is so hard for the smartest algorithm on the planet to tell that this is porn. Anything that is coaching, when you book a coaching call with me, I color it this nice, happy ocean blue. And that way it jumps out at me as coaching time. Dark blue, I do job interviews or potential client meetings so that they jump out at me. And then personal stuff is in this kind of weird fleshy color. So like my Italian lessons, my Sunday reminder to call my adopted mom, and stuff like that. Fast forward to next week, we're going on a trip that is in super bright hot pink, and that's actually a separate calendar. It synchronizes with tripit.com, where I keep all my travel plans, and it synchronizes to the Google Calendar. And I'm going to be editing my audiobook, hopefully. This is a reminder to go over the monday.com list you just saw for my wedding and see if there's anything that I can do. Who just says, I hope the audiobook doesn't get the Udemy treatment. Yeah, so for people who missed that show, when I was trying to put my last course on Udemy, they rejected it, saying that I'm not allowed to use robot and automated voices, but it was really me. And I think it was partially my voice acting and partially that I had removed most of the breaths so that you know, because you hear me breathing now. You hear me say something and then I take a breath, and then I'll say a bunch of other things and I'll take a breath. And I think it would be really distracting to have headphones in and listen to an audiobook and hear someone keep going. So I have my audio system remove those, and I think it made the system think I was a robot because I wasn't breathing. Anyway, ask questions if you have them. But as you can see, my calendar is full of stuff. It's full of everything I want to remember to do. It's full of everything that I have to do. It's full of some things to remind myself to do. It's full of recurring things that happened over and over, like don't forget to pay this bill and that bill. This is a reminder to check with Darren. We do have some YouTube stuff planned with him, but he's thinking he can't make it, and he said, check with me next week. I drop something in my calendar, and I say, check with Darren. That way, I don't have to put it on a list, because if it's on a list, then when do I do this? It's just on a list. But by putting it in my calendar, I have pre-decided what day I'm going to ask him. Now, if I got busy that morning or something caught on fire, could I ask him that the next day? Sure, I could ask him that the next day. That one's probably flexible and movable. I could give it a gray. But I recently added that and forgot to make a gray. So like, let's see what else is in here that would help explain stuff. Yeah, I don't have a lot in here yet because, so let's roll back. So yesterday I spoke at an event, and so I have the time blocked out for the event, and then I have a larger block of time blocked out to prepare for the event. So I do that as well. So really, block out time where you can, block it in your calendar. Now again, some of us work at jobs where people don't care what's blocked out in our calendar. They still go in and try to book time with us. I've had that job, I get it. But I think that trying to block out time is the way to go. But ultimately, old school transition, ultimately I think that estimating time is a really big weakness for a lot of people. Something they think will just take 5 minutes takes 2 hours. Something they think will take a half hour took them all day. And I think that we get too optimistic about how much time things take. So, and also you have to know your limits. There's a reason why I've only put 3 hours of voice acting in per day. After I talk for 3 hours straight into this microphone, I feel kind of done. That's it. You know, I could talk longer, I could push it, I could get this done faster, but that doesn't mean I have to. Which reminds me, since I will set this microphone up in the booth, I will need to put old microphone back. So you might hear me using a different microphone on the show for the next week until I get my stuff recorded, because once I set this up in the booth, I don't want to move it. I want it in the same place. So we'll set up AT4040 again and move SM7B to the booth. Danielle says, perfect. Yeah, it's really about getting to know how long things truly take, whether there are things in your control, like how long can I voice act before I just run out of energy or patience with myself, or how long does it take to cook lunch for myself? If I'm going to block out lunch and I have to cook the lunch too, that doesn't sound like a 20-minute lunch. So it's really about starting to watch yourself, take notes if you have to, and figure out how long things actually take. I think a lot of times we go with best case scenario. We assume we're going to get in and get out. Hey, I'm just going to go to the motor vehicle department and get a license plate. You're there 5 hours. So I think what gets in the way of a lot of time management is incorrect estimation of time, or like an overly optimistic estimation of time. And I'm usually, at this point, strangely accurate with how long things will take, even things that are out of my control. But it's something that I was always pretty good at, because I remember using it in the mid-90s when I took a band on tour, and you had to have a sense of, okay, if we have to start the show at this, then we have to start the sound check at this time, and then we have to have dinner at this time, and you just kind of, we used to call it back it up. Any questions about Deb's time management? Anything you were hoping I would cover or talk about to explain my time management that I didn't? Joe asked if I specifically book breaks for myself. I would say I generally don't, but because I am constantly drinking from a liter glass, I'm usually up about every hour or so to go to the toilet. That's healthy. That's natural. Don't feel bad about it. But it does get me out of this chair. And another thing that I like to do is I like to take dog breaks. You know, we've got fun dogs, and sometimes I'll say to my boyfriend, I'm going to go talk to some dogs. And I go out for about 20 minutes and rub them and play with them, assuming there isn't anything else on fire. Jamie says, how do you cope with procrastination? I only allow myself to procrastinate on gray stuff, the movable stuff. If something is not movable, I can't procrastinate, and I don't let myself. Like, I can't procrastinate about doing this show. You know, this is what time the show is. This is a hard deadline. But asking Darren when he's free for a thing, yeah, I can move that. So I try to make sure that the things that are on my to-do list or on my calendar kind of have a sense of priority. Some of that is helped with the color. The color tells me how important something is and whether or not it's something that I can shift around. So typically things that are in gray, I can shift around. Hypothetically, I could have made voice acting in the booth gray because that doesn't have a hard deadline. I could shift it around, but I'm really, really trying to get it done before we take that trip on November 10th so that while we're on that trip, I can start editing. So I have kind of a movable but deadline I'd like to really stick to, so I'm not treating those as procrastinatable. I'm not a procrastinator, but also, again, I try to use the time when I'm sharpest to do the hardest work. Sometimes we procrastinate because we go, oh, that's going to be hard to do. Okay, when things are hard to do, you need to do two things. Number one, schedule it for when you're sharpest, whenever that is. 8 in the morning, midnight, lunch, whatever. So number one, the things that you're putting off if you're putting them off because they're hard or complex or whatever, schedule them for when you're sharpest. Number two, make a list and make a sub list. Sometimes we procrastinate on things because there are subtasks that we need to do. Like, I could say, work on my wedding planning, but wait, there's like a million subtasks there. Oh no, it seems too big. I don't want to deal with that. Think about a portfolio update. Oh no, portfolio update. I don't want to deal with that. Well, what if you broke it into smaller pieces? We could joke that is agile. Just have empathy for yourself. So what if you broke it into smaller pieces? Sure, you want to work on your portfolio, but today I'll work on making sure I have all the screenshots for my case study. Doable. Tomorrow, I'll work on some of my storytelling and start to write some of the bullet points of the key things I want to make sure I mention in my portfolio. Doable piece. Next day, I'm going to take that outline or those bullet points and I'm going to turn it into a little bit of a longer story with some storytelling that matches the screenshots I have. Doable piece. Try to take something that if you're putting it off because it seems too big or complex, try breaking it down into pieces where each piece doesn't seem so bad. You still might not want to do it. You still, might not look forward to it, but hopefully it'll feel a little more doable because it's a small piece and then you can feel like, yeah, I got that done. And drink a lot of water. Great advice. Yeah, again, make things easier for yourself by breaking it into pieces. Like, for example, you saw my Todoist list of things I want to do for my book marketing. I could make that list look scary and I could make that list look doable. If I said like list book on every site out there, it'd be like, oh, I don't want to do that. But if I say like, get it on AppSumo, get it on Product Hunt, get it on Goodreads. Those are smaller pieces. I might look forward to none of them, but I will be happy to check each one off as it gets done. Great. Books on Goodreads, done. Check it off. List gets shorter. And also make sure you're feeling good about seeing things get checked off and your list getting shorter. That's going to be for people who are intrinsically motivated. For those who are more extrinsically motivated, stuff like Todoist will like congratulate you when you cross 5 things off your list and be like, wow, look what you're doing today. And it tries to motivate you. It doesn't work for me because that's not my thing. I'm not motivated that way. But if you are, then you might want to find an app or something that kind of semi-gamifies getting things done. But I really have a tough talk with yourself about why you didn't get it done or you're putting it off, because you might find that you didn't break it down into smaller pieces and the larger thing seems overwhelming, and breaking it down would help. Super question. Any other questions about my time management? Thoughts, questions, concerns, anything you want to talk about that you're struggling with? Marjolaine says, great tips. Thank you. Sorry, I'm probably doing a bad job with your name, but thank you. Thank you. Smiley. Happy smile. Yeah, let's see. Thanks for the tips and 2 new software. Yeah, exactly. Look, again, all this stuff, I do pay for this stuff. So it's not going to be for everybody. There's always things you can do. Some people make Excel spreadsheets and they have a column for priority and then they sort by that column. Or Google Sheets, which is going to be free to pretty much everybody. So there's always a way to take the things that I'm using and make your own free version out of it. If you don't want to pay for these tools, you don't have to pay for them. Bram says nope, but I don't know what, I think that's nope questions. So Bram, you have so many names I can't keep up with you. I really don't know what to call you. Too many names. That guy. Jamie says, it's nice to have a practical take. Toxic productivity is a thing. Yeah, I go to sleep with things left to do. Anybody who says like, hustle, wake up at 4 a.m., don't go to sleep with things left to do. There's always more to do. It doesn't make sense to push yourself harder. Jinko says, thank you, Debbie. Do you have a protected deep work time? There are times I will block out of my calendar and then people can't bug me. Sometimes I would tell my boyfriend. Sometimes I'll say to him, hey, I'm working on something, but I'm interruptible. So that's not deep work time. And sometimes I'll say to him, hey, I really have to write this presentation. I'm speaking at a conference on Tuesday. Please don't bug me unless it's important. So we just establish our own boundaries with each other. Usually when he puts on headphones, I know it's his deep work time. And so we just use, good communication between us to establish that. And I also try to block out time on my calendar where I really need to do a thing. Yes, nope questions. Yeah, so those are some of my techniques. But again, I think it goes back to where we started the show with there's a lot of ways that I've adjusted my life to facilitate the rest of the things I'm trying to do. It's easier for me to balance stuff when things are like, for example, the YouTube show is blocked out. No one else gets that time. When I interview for jobs, I say, I'm sorry, I'm going to be unavailable between roughly 6 p.m. my time and 7:30 or 8 my time. Think of it as a long lunch break, or if it's an American company and that's the middle of their day. If it's a European company, that's my time. That's after the work day is over. But for an American or North American company, I have to say, hey, I'm going to disappear for long lunches on days when I have YouTube shows because this is the middle of your day. And I block it out of my work calendar when I get these jobs, and I just say, this is my time. Sometimes I have to reschedule a show if there's like a meeting that I can't miss. Like, hey, the president's going to be talking to everybody. Okay, I'll move the show. Yeah, so I sometimes I do block time out, and I try to make sure people who work with me know that I'm serious about trying to keep that time blocked for me, and to only book it if it's really unavoidable. But we're all already in too many meetings. Ooh, We're out of time. Let's talk quickly about what's coming next in the show. Tomorrow is our monthly community networking. We're not going to be on AirMeet. We're going to be on Remo to try it out. So I really look forward to what you think of it. Our networking time is just video and audio chat where people are at little virtual tables. It's totally free. And it's an opportunity to just meet some people from the community. You can talk UX, you can talk not UX. Sometimes we're talking about pets and partners and food and helicopters. So, it's a big whatever. There isn't a specific agenda. It's just get to know people. So we all feel a little closer. So that's tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Italy time. In our Slack channel, you can check the live, and Discord, you can check the live events channel. So join our Slack and Discord. Check the live events channel for the link to join it. Also remember to please subscribe here on YouTube and share this with other people. If you've enjoyed anything about this show, you probably know some other people who struggle with time management or want to learn more about CX and UX, so please do send them to the show. Maybe you can find 3 people and recommend it today. Thanks, Marjolaine. Friday, of course, will be critical thinking, though it looks like I'll have to miss the end of Abby's party, as you saw. Monday is Think Out Loud. I have nothing planned, so I think I want to talk about possibly my experience with Apple today. I'm not sure, but we've got some websites we need to look at and talk about. So there you go. Tuesday the 8th is office hours with Dr. Nick. So that'll be next week. If you send in anything for office hours, we'll be looking at it then. And then I'm going to be away in Milan for a few days, so I'm probably not going to be doing the show. But again, go to deltacx.com/links. That's where you'll find the Google Calendar, and you can add it to your Google Calendar, and that way you'll always see when the shows are, and you never have to mess up time zones or anything. So that's the easiest way to go. If you've got a Google Calendar, add the show Google Calendar to it, and I'm always keeping that updated. Like we just added Dr. Ari coming back for November 17. Yay! I need a hooray confetti for that. Hooray! All right, so I'm going to play us out of here, but I'll see everybody tomorrow, not here on the show, but over in our networking meetup adventures. And so everybody have a super rest of your day. Thanks for asking about my time management. I hope it helped and wasn't too personal. And guess I'll see you soon. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are